Guys, have you heard the news?
What news?
Usai badai PHK 10.965 karyawan PT Stritex, dalam sebulan ini muncul PHK 1.126 karyawan PT Yihong Novatex Indonesia.
Pada periode Januari hingga Februari 2025, ada 18.610 pekerja yang terkena PHK. Provinsi Jawa Tengah menjadi wilayah dengan jumlah PHK tertinggi, yakni sebanyak 10.677 tenaga kerja menjadi korban PHK.
Yang stres rakyat, yang healing pejabat. Come on, siklus macam apa ini?
So I've been thinking a lot lately, especially with the layoffs that is happening in Indonesia these past few months, from startup to big companies. It feels like every week I've been watching people losing their jobs. It's very tough, and it got me asking, what does it actually mean to lead with ethics, right? And because let's be real, leading business decision making is not as easy as it seems, because when money is tight, the pressure is high, and investors, they want results, right? So it's easy to say we don't really have choice, we have to lay off, we have to cut this, we have to cost cutting. But the real question is, do we really not have any choice?
Wow, that question really hits deep. I mean, like, for me, did the company do everything they do to support the people who they work with or trust with? I mean, they're not just names. They're not only a list of names. They are people. They stay late for their job. They help the company during the tough times, maybe, we don't know. And they are the one who believed to the company's vision before, right? And saying it's just business may be easier to detach, but as, what did you say back then, ethical leaders? And for the real leader, I think it's not true. I mean, we should remind ourselves that every person in that list has the whole story, and they are deserved to treat it that way, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with Matthias. You know, for me, security is a very big deal. Not just for me,
Security.
but for everyone involved. When companies suddenly laying off people without any warning or even proper help, it makes people scared. Not just scared of losing their job, but also they're scared about what comes after it. If we want to lead with ethics, we have to build workplaces where people still feel safe even when things get tough. That means being honest, preparing in advance, giving a proper compensation, helping people find their new jobs, or even offering mental health support. Because, you know, at the end of the day, how you treat people during hard times shows more about your values than anything you say when things are easy, you know?
I really feel that, and I want to add, if a decision is going to cause massive stress, fear, and emotional disruption, then we have to stop and ask, is there a way to protect the people's well-being and business? I think sometimes we forget that work is a huge part of people's life. If your leadership leaves people drained and joyless, it is not just bad ethics, it is bad business. To me, ethical leadership isn't only about doing the right thing. It is about choosing what brings long-term happiness, dignity, and peace of mind.
Great, Rakean. And speaking of change, some people see layoffs as a fresh start or a new challenge to reinvent themselves. That's the stimulation mindset. But let's be honest, not everyone has the privilege to treat it like an opportunity. So I think leaders need to step up. They can make the transition smoother by offering such a reskilling for the employee, or maybe freelance pathway, or even just being kind in their communication.
Yeah, just be kind, right?
Yeah. I think. Oh, who's that? Oh, it's here, guys.
Kira?
Oh, hey, everyone. What's up?
Hi.
What's going on? How are you guys? I hope you guys are doing fine. I hope you guys are doing alright, healthy, not too stressed, happy.
Pierre, please give us your Umrah update.
I literally just arrived at the hotel. I think the bus driver got lost or something. I don't know. But like I just hop onto the bed. I haven't even unpacked my things. Yeah, I've been exploring all day. I've been walking around a lot, like a lot walking around.
So fun. Now with Rakean House, and we're talking about layoffs in Indonesia, from small business to larger companies, and we give each other point of view due to the Schwartz theory and the ethics lens.
Yeah, and talking about Schwartz theory, right? Sometimes I think ethics isn't about destroying the whole environment of the business. For example, layoff isn't about destroying the system, but doing it ethically. Layoffing is like doing it with the right system. I mean, it's about doing right thing within the system. For example, in corporate world, layoff is expected, right? When the numbers don't add up, the management perform poorly, or sales team didn't meet their target market, right? Then there's layoff. But it's like how you do layoff, what matters. Were people respected, given fair notice, or proper compensation, or are they supported to transition before layoff? And that's ethical conformity, right? Working within the structure, but doing it with fairness and integrity. You don't always need to be radical, but at least doing it well is enough.
That's so important, Iqbal. Yeah, I totally get it. But for me, I always go back to universalism, the belief that we all share responsibility for each other's well-being. You know, when I hear about mass layoffs, I don't just think about the business. I also think about the ripple effects, families, communities, people who rely on that paycheck just to live day by day, So ethical leadership, for me, is about asking the bigger questions. Asking questions such as, how does this affect society? Are we making inequality worse? And are we being socially responsible, not just financially sound? So, for me, sustainable business isn't just about profit. It's about the social responsibility too.
Oh wow, I don't think it gets this deep, guys. I mean, talking about ethics, right? And I think that's the takeaway. There's no one size fit answer to all questions, but when we understand our values, whether it's care, security, or joy, fairness, challenge, or justice, we can lead more intentionally. Ethical decisions aren't always easy to make, but if you have value, you will have compass, especially when the times are tough. And talking about tough times, what do you guys think about real case in Indonesia right now? Maybe Pertamina?
Which part of Pertamina?
Let's see.
Seusai penangkapan 7 tersangka korupsi PT Pertamina Patraniaga, Kejagung pun akhirnya kembali mengumumkan tersangka baru, yakni Maya Kusmaya dan Edward Korn, yang keduanya sama-sama punya peran dalam pengoplosan Pertamax dalam kasus ini. Berikut ini adalah daftar 9 tersangka dan perannya dalam kasus dugaan korupsi tata kelola minyak dan produksi kilang PT Pertamina Patraniaga.
So that's very interesting, right, guys? Talking about unethical behavior, it's not just about layoff. There is so much to dig into in Indonesia. For example, there is corruption, there is nepotism, and etc. And take Pertamina, for example, what we just seen. We have so many data that we can talk about. And for example, just imagine from 2015, Pertamina mix Pertamax with other substance, right? And it totals to about 1,000 trillion rupiah. I mean, just imagine
Crazy.
16 zeros, right? Rakean, what can you do with 1,000 trillion rupiah?
I'm gonna buy my dream car.
Yeah, I mean,
There's enough.
yeah,
Your dream cars.
you get my point, right?
Yes.
I mean, and not just that, maintaining it for 10 years, right? It's like they are trying to keep the corruption environment in their system. For example, dismissing board director that is honest to his job for just to keep their corruption environment going, right? I mean, that's just not unethical. That's calculated. Instead of fixing it, they're protecting the environment. Honestly, how else can you describe people who are actively choosing to maintain corruption rather than fixing it, right? Doesn't it just make you wonder, are they even human at this point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's istighfar together, guys. You know what's been bothering me living here in Indonesia? Things like corruption, nepotism, you call it. What else? Yeah, abuse of power, nepotism. It's not. What is it? It's normal. It becomes so common that people you don't even flinch anymore. And then let's be real. These things are happening in public institutions, companies, even in school, right? Even in a small local institutions, we can find it. And it's no longer hidden. It's almost legit. Oh, legit. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's like a little dirty tradition that people don't like, but somehow they just come along with.
Yes.
Right, so it's the, oh my god, it's the creepiest things. I mean, it's the dangerous part, I think, of this. It's not the act itself, but how the silence keep it going. Yeah, so that's what moral neglect looks like, right? And just because something is normal doesn't make it true, right? And I don't want to be part of the system that only works for the loudest, richer, or most connected. I want to help build a system where the best ideas rise, where the effort is rewarded, even if they don't have insider. Oops. But yeah, that's the real case. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with both of you. What's happening with Pertamina is the perfect example of what happens when moral neglect becomes part of the systems. When leaders protect their positions by removing honest people, it's not just unethical, it's intentional.
I agree.
And like Batia said, the real danger is when we all start to accept it as normal. When people stay quiet, not because they are scared or tired or even feel powerless, that's how corruption gets stronger, you know. You know what Ahok said in that narasi interview in YouTube lately?
Yeah, I know Ahok.
Yeah, it really stayed with me. He said something like, orang jujur itu malah dianggap sebuah ancaman. Yeah? Honest people are seen as threats. And that's so telling. Because it means the system is not broken by accident, it's working exactly the way it was designed.
To be correct.
Yeah. That's why speaking up matters, guys. Even when it feels small, even when it's uncomfortable for you, just speak up. For me, leading with ethics means refusing to normalize injustice. It means holding on to integrity even when the system tries to wear you down. And it means believing that things can change, but only if we stop staying silent.
You know what really gets to me? It's not just that this stuff happens, but we have to accept it. Like when honest people get pushed out and the ones playing dirty keep riding, it doesn't just mess with the system, it messes with people's spirit. It drains your motivation, it kills your joy. It makes you questioning like, why even try to do the right thing? And that's the part I cannot stand. Because when leadership becomes all about power games and protecting the corrupt, everyone else is walking on eggshells. You stop feeling safe, you stop feeling seen, you stop believing that integrity matters. And honestly, that is not a world I want to live in, and I don't think any of us do, right?
Yeah.
And what's the point of chasing success if it means betraying your values? If it means you lose yourself along the way? I want to be part of something where people feel proud of who they are. Where telling the truth doesn't make you a problem. Where standing up for what is right doesn't cost you everything. Because in the end, this isn't just about policy or businesses. It's about quality of life. If we're not building system where people can live with dignity, with purpose, and with peace of mind, then what are we even doing?
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say, guys. Honestly, everything you guys just said, it hits so deep. It's like people in Indonesia are nodding and agreeing to us. They feel fatigue. They felt that they're quite rage inside themselves, right? What really stood out to me is the thing about the danger itself isn't about the corruption, but about the normalization of it. When people stop being shocked, when we get used to it, that's dangerous, right? That's terrifying. And what Dimas said about Ahok's quote, "Orang jujur dianggap ancaman," that one really lingers, because it flips the whole idea of integrity, right? In a system like that, when being honest isn't a virtue, rather it's being a threat to the system. Yeah, and let me throw this out, or let me ask you guys a question. What do you think it would really take for a system like ours, like Indonesia, to shift? Is it about education, or policy, cultural mindset, or something deeper like courage, or collective action, or even just one person choosing to not stay silent?
That's a really powerful question, Iqbal. I kept thinking to myself, how do we even begin to fix the problem if the problem feels normal? When corruption or favoritism becomes so common, it starts to look like just the way things are, just like our daily lives. For me, what it takes is recentering on what's fair, not just legally, but also morally. So, every unethical decision in a boardroom, every cover-up, every dismissal of an honest voice, that all translates into very real consequences for real people. And so I believe that we need to stop looking at ethics as a checkbox and start treating them like a compass. Because it's not just about protecting the company's name. It's about standing up for what's right, especially when no one's watching. If we want change, we need to normalize integrity. We need to create a culture where fairness is expected, where injustice isn't something we just scroll past on our feeds. Where being kind, honest, and fair isn't the exception, but instead, it is the standard.
Yeah, I love that, Tira. You know what I noticed? A lot of people are just do the autopilot mode, like doing their job, following orders, even when deep down they know something's off. Like, yeah, it sucks, but yeah, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And I get it, survival mode is real. But if nobody asks why, then how is anything ever gonna change? I honestly think we need more people who dare to shake things up. Not just to be edgy or rebellious, but because they actually care. People who are down to question the system, break the patterns, try new ways to doing things, even it's messy and unpopular, because real progress doesn't come from staying quiet and playing it safe. It starts when someone say, hey, this doesn't sit right with me, and chooses to act on that. Especially now, when so many people are exhausted or just numb, maybe the most ethical thing we can do is not go numb with it. We have to stay curious, we have to stay loud, speak up, and we have to give a damn even when it be easier not to do all of that. Because silence might feel safer in the moment, but over time, it is actually what keeps the worst stuff alive.
Let's say that insiders protecting each other and keeping environment dirty just to make money. How do we even begin to fix that thing? And I think that's exactly where ethical theories come in. Like what would deontological theory would talk about, and what would stakeholder theory react or approach that kind of corrupt system. And not just in theory, legally and systemically talking, these behaviors are destroying not only a little but also the greater good for the people of Indonesia, right? It's just not unethical, it's compromising serious global sustainable goals, right? Like SDGs around justice, social welfare, decent work, right? So I think we really need to bring these ethical frameworks into this discussion when we are talking about this kind of business decision making.
You know, if you're talking about deontological ethics, then it is really simple. Some things are just wrong, no matter the outcome. Like protecting your close friends, turning a blind eye to the environmental damage, or firing someone just because they are honest. There is no, but we made that profit, or we had to protect the brand, excuse that can make that okay. Because deontological ethic is about principle over consequence. It means doing the right thing because it is right, not because it benefits you, or because you're scared of backlash, or because it looks good on a report. And if leaders cannot commit to even the most basic duties like being honest, respecting people, protecting public interest, then how can they claim to be ethical at all? Honestly, we cannot keep using business decision as a shield for moral failure. There are duties that come with power, and when those duties are ignored, the system becomes toxic by design. So I agree, bringing ethical theories into the conversation isn't just helpful, it is necessary, it's a must. Because without a moral compass, we are not leading, we are just surviving, and I think we are meant for more than that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That's why I'm drawn to how stakeholder theory frames all of this. Because it's not just about what's best for the shareholder or people at the top. It's about who else get affected by this decision. The employee, the vendors, the surrounding communities, or even the future generation. And when we talk about big decision, those choices are just like a big bang. So many people outside the boardroom have to deal with the consequences, even though they had zero say in it.
That's right.
I think a lot of business forget that they don't exist in their bubble. They are part of a much bigger social and environment system. So if you're making a decision that hurt the very people or the planet that keep your business running, it's not a strategy, it's a self-destruction for your business. I think it forced the leaders to step out of their bubble and actually consider who they're affecting, the people around them. And the stakeholder theory reminds us that ethics isn't just about intention, it's about impact. So if more companies use this lens, maybe we will stop seeing the justice and sustainability as an option, but it will be more like a priority for us, because they really is, I think.
Yeah, I agree with both of you actually. And I think this is where the consequentialism really makes sense. It is about one main question, right? The question is what will happen because of our choices, not just for us, but for everyone affected. When companies protect corrupt people, harm the environment, or even fire workers without any help, the effects go far beyond the office. Workers lose their jobs, communities also get hurt, and future generations are left to deal with the mess. If these choices lead to more unfairness and harm, then no profit can make that okay. It goes against what we are working toward, like the SDG 8, which is good jobs, SDG 10, which is fairness, and also SDG 16, which is justice. The consequentialism also reminds us that being a good leader means thinking about the bigger picture. If a choice helps a few people but hurts many others, it's not the right choice, and it's not a smart one either. That's why companies today should ask more than, is this legal or will it make money? They should more ask about, will this make life better or worse for people and the planet? Because at the end, the results speak louder than words, even when the system tries to cover them up.
Yeah, and I really like how your guys' thoughts brings understanding into the role of principles, consequences, stakeholders, and responsibility. But I think another angle that ties that all together is virtue ethics, because at the end of it, these issues are just about decisions. They are about characters.
Yeah.
Virtue ethics asks about what kind of person you are, who do you want to be, what kind of leader do you want to be. Are you someone with integrity, courage, honesty, and empathy, or are you someone who stays silent in a broken system because it's safer and more profitable? Because even if a decision is legal, or even the impact looks neutral on paper, it reflects lack of virtue, like greed, cowardice, arrogance. It's still ethically wrong. And let's be honest, many of the people who having power, who allows corruption, pollution, injustice to continue, they didn't wake up and choose evil. They just lost sight of who they were supposed to be. And if leaders genuinely practice virtue like justice, compassion, and responsibility, they wouldn't tolerate, like before we discussed, like insider protection, or we just talk about environmental abuse. They would see that business is a form of public service and not just the path to profit. This directly links to SDGs, especially SDG 12, like responsible consumption and production, like Pertamina did, right? And SDG 13, climate action, SDG 16, peace, right? And SDG 17, partnerships for the goals. Because these goals aren't just meant to be just a policy. They reflect the virtue that good leadership should have. From legal standpoint, these ethical theories remind us that following the law is the minimum, and doing the right thing often goes beyond compliance. Yes, it is laws matter, like contracts, labor rights, or environmental regulations, but so do soft laws like sustainable disclosures, as the ESG frameworks, and corporate code of ethics. And when those legal tools are in alignment with moral character, businesses become not just compliant but also transformative.
Well, everything you guys just talk about shows how really connected the ethics and the kind of future that we want to build. You know, like, well, I honestly, I keep thinking back to what we just talked about, moral neglect. Yeah, remember that when we talk about Pertamina? because it is where everything is begin. So not just with big or loud corruption cases, but with a small decision where people choose to be silence, comfort, and personal gain over integrity. And whether we talk about principle, consequences, virtues, or stakeholders, they all come back to one simple truth, that if we want to fix broken system, we need leaders and citizens who refuse to be numb in injustice. So we cannot be numb. So what should we do to avoid that? We should start to care. Care about what? About our future generations. That's the main point of this. Not only about ours, but our future generations. That's how this connected to the SDGs.
Yeah, sustainability goals.
So yeah, let's bring the framework of the ethics to our decision making in business, and hopefully that it will very helpful for us. And this intention, I mean, it's not only an intentions, but at least we have to keep it in mind that we have this framework and we have to doing right in our version. And like we know that because like you said, like in the deontological ethics, you said that you can assess something is simply wrong, or in the virtue maybe. Well, honestly, that makes us to look at ourselves in the mirror, right? That's what we have to keep in mind. I mean, this is really what should we do? What should we remember as a citizen and as a businessman also, maybe someday. In a society.
You know, guys, I really appreciate everything that's been said so far, and I think it all comes down to this: ethics isn't just about frameworks or theories. It's about how our decisions affect people's lives. Because the truth is, no decision happens in a vacuum. When a company cuts corners or chooses to protect insiders instead of saying the truth, there's always someone else paying the price. Imagine it could be a family losing income. It could be a child growing up next to polluted air, or a small business being pushed aside by unfair practices. And I don't think we can call it leadership if we're not thinking about the bigger picture. When decisions are made without considering the long-term effects on communities, on the environment, or future generations, that's not just being unethical. That's just irresponsible. So we need leaders who care, who would actually stop and ask, who's going to be affected by this, by our action, by our business? Are we doing what's fair, not just what's profitable? That's what those global goals like SDGs are really about. They're not just checklists, they're reminders that we have a shared duty to protect dignity, justice, and the planet that we all rely on. So yes, bringing ethics into business isn't optional, no. It's how we build a world that's not just successful, but a world that truly is worth living in, for now and for the future.
I didn't expect this discussion to be this deep. I think we learned something new from each other, right? About perspectives, values, laws, sustainability. There's so much to dig into, right? And not only the above the surface like Pertamina or corruption, but also we need to see the unseen problems that people need help in there. Right, like maybe someone get laid off without without doing it ethically, right? So
well, I guess I have to pick up my children.
It's
They've been expecting me, I guess.
I think
it's kind of been late.
It's already there.
See you guys, and please do continue whatever you're doing. Bye.
Thank you for everything, guys.
Goodbye.
It's all interesting.